Spain won their second World Cup yesterday, and they did it in a way that somewhat mirrored their first World Cup, more so than perhaps you would first imagine. But Spain are the best team in the world for two main reasons. One, they have a very strong national identity of how they want to play and play it extremely well. And two, they got the best player in the world when he's fit, and it's not Lamine Yamal. So let's begin with Spain's national identity. And we all know what Spain's national identity, if you've been watching football for more than a couple of years, is. It's to control the game via a possession-based approach. We're going to have the ball, and if we have the ball, you can't score. And we very much saw that in this World Cup, of course, because Spain only conceded one goal during this entire World Cup in their 2-1 win over Belgium, right? And Spain are known, as they have been, for winning, like they did in the World Cup, 1-0. That is a very Spanish way of winning, by having pretty much all of the ball and then just scoring towards the end of the game. They also did it against Portugal in this game just here. The thing is, Spain actually started off with a bit of a disappointing performance against Cape Verde, not winning, then winning their two other group games, and then never looking back. Weirdly enough, though, that very much mirrors what they did in 2010, because in 2010, they also started off very poorly with a loss to Switzerland just here. They then beat Honduras, they then beat Chile, and then they won every single game from then on in all of the knockouts, 1-0. And so in the two times that Spain have won the World Cup, they have conceded 2 and then 1 goal. That is quite impressive. The thing I find particularly impressive, though, is the way that Spain have managed to bounce back quite quickly from really what I thought was kind of an earth-shattering, completely monumental dismantling of how Spain play and what I would call the death of tiki-taka. And this happened in the 2018 World Cup, where most club teams had moved on from that kind of style by this point. But the Spain national team was still kind of sticking to it. And you might remember this game, the 1-1 draw with Russia, where they eventually lost on penalties. And in this game, Spain completed 1,093 passes. And they had 80% of the possession. And you might remember that game or recall it in the back of your mind of Spain just essentially passing it around quite a lot, not really being able to do too much with the ball, and eventually losing to a Russia side who, let's be real, they should have been a lot better than. And that really probably should have been the death of tiki-taka, and to an extent it was, because Spain, of course, were forced to change, and we saw that somewhat in the game yesterday as well. You know, they were trying to score, right? They weren't just passing for passing's sake, but they still very much have kept the idea of, if we have the ball and you don't, you are not a threat to our goal. And we see that again yesterday. They had 853 passes yesterday, if you're wondering, and they had 65% of the ball, and they were on top for, almost all of the game. And the thing for me is, there is one man who really allows Spain to do what they are doing. Maybe back in 2010, it was, the Xavis, the Iniesta, the Busquets. Well, now there is one man really at the heart of what Spain are doing. And the fact that he had such a good tournament, I think, is the reason why Spain won the tournament. I am, of course, talking about the player of the tournament, Rodri. And of course, we all know Rodri, when he's on form, is very good. He won a Ballon d'Or. We all know how good he can be. But I think when you see him play like he did at this World Cup, where he seems fully fit, he is the best player in the world because he completely controls games. Now, if you just take a look at some of the things that Rodri did yesterday, somehow the player ratings on this only gave him a 7.4 and gave Yamal a 7.8. Don't know what game they were particularly watching, to be honest, because Rodri, I thought, was absolutely immense. And just looking at some of the things that he did, he had, almost the most touches in the game, 116 touches. His pass success rate here was 106 total passes. 101 of those were accurate. Again, the second most in the game. He had the most tackles in the game of anyone. He just completely dictated the game. He did not let Argentina really have a kick. And as we saw, they didn't even have a shot on target in the game. And he, to me, was a large reason for that. Because we all know that Rodri, on the ball, he can pass the ball about. He can control the game. I think we're all aware of that when he's in possession, but I think particularly when he was out of possession for this Spanish team, he really just came alive even more. And I've got a couple examples for you here of him, this is like a time in the game, 13 minutes in. Lisandro Martinez is going to clear this ball. Who's there to get it? It's Rodri. He gets the ball back. Spain keep the ball. Here's another example. McAllister is running through. The ball gets poked out. Who's going to get it back? Oh, it's Rodri. He's in the perfect place to get it back. This moment when Martinez clears the ball, who's there to mop it up instantly and get it back? Oh, it's Rodri, and also plays a first-time pass that, unfortunately, I think this would have been given offside, but Ayazabal is right there with a chance. Another example here. The ball is played out. It looks like a player who you think might be quicker than him, Alvarez, is going to get it. No, Rodri is there, gets in front of it, wins a foul, Spain get the ball back. And it's not even that as well. This is an example of him commanding his team. For instance, you're going to see in a second, him and Fabian Ruiz, this ball is going to come back here, and they're going to try and push up just here. And what is going to happen? Fabian Ruiz, he's kind of lacking a bit. He's slacking. He's a bit tired. He doesn't want to go running up here. Rodri instantly is telling him, bro, you got to get up here. Okay, we got to be up here together. You can't be hugging your defenders this close whilst I'm up here. What happens is Fabian Ruiz actually goes up. He then leaves this space in behind because, again, he's kind of slacking. He's blowing a little bit here. So we get Messi on the ball. And this was kind of the one time in the first half where Messi was able to get the ball in a bit of space, in the attacking third. And just watch what Rodri does here again, because if you watch him, Messi's going to play this ball in just here, and then he's going to continue this run. So Messi's played the ball. He's now going to continue his run. He's looking dangerous. And Rodri is not having any of it. Okay, Rodri is not going to let Messi get away from him. He is going to trail him all of the way. And it's going to end up in this situation here where we get this cross and it eventually gets blocked out. But you see that Rodri has dropped all the way back in here with his defensive line. He's making sure there's no way that, somehow someone's going to sneak in here and get a goal. And those were just some examples from the first half. I mean, this went throughout pretty much all of the time that Rodri was on the field. He dominated the second half as well. I am just going to quickly show you that in this moment here, we get a good example of him, beating out Enzo Fernandez in this instant. This is, in the 81st minute, and he was just doing this throughout the entire game. This is actually the moment that Enzo Fernandez got his yellow card, his first yellow card, was because he lost another challenge to Rodri. And, eventually, waved at the ref and got booked for dissent in this moment. So, I mean, the impact that Rodri had on the game was even more monumental than you might have thought, because he also managed to get Enzo Fernandez booked by essentially just bodying him. And honestly, this whole game anyway just felt like a matter of time before Spain eventually scored, right? Even from the very first parts of the game, we were all just waiting for Spain to score so that basically the game could kind of begin, because Argentina were clearly just digging in and wanting to play like that. But Spain, in these recent years, have kind of mastered this art form. If they need to just completely control the game and pass it around, they will. But they have added, I think, since kind of the down days of maybe, the 2018 World Cup, they have added a little bit more incision, a little bit more precision in terms of their attacking and finding space and finding that kind of incisive pass to create a chance that maybe they were lacking for a brief while after kind of that generational team of the early 2010s, late 2000s kind of retired. They were left a little bit unsure of what they wanted to be, and they have found it in spades, right? Because now you do have a Nico Williams or your Mal who can create a lot of chances and take chances and score goals for you, but you still have your cultural identity of controlling the game through a possession-based approach. And Rodri, to me, is the reason that works. And without him, I don't think it works nearly as well, because without him, they don't have that player who, off the ball, can still dominate games, right? And still always be in the right position and always win the ball back. Yes, Fabian Ruiz, Pedri, they might be good on the ball still, and they, have other talents as well. But are they going to be as good as Rodri in terms of enforcing the game? No.